All right. Hey, and welcome to the codebase of PHP Monitor. We're currently looking at the dev branch of version 5.4, where things are rapidly changing. Um, so, I wanted to talk about those three issues, and the first one is the spaghetti code. Now, I don't think it's that bad, but there are some issues. So, I was mentioning the problem of the many singletons, and I don't think that in the entire application there's any other singleton that exhibits this problem in any worse capacity than the PHP environment file. So if you go in and look at the app delegate, which is usually the main start point or the place where the application begins to execute, what happens is it boots up a bunch of singletons here, a few of which are like the shell, for example, right? And the app, which contains state about the application in general, the menu, a bunch of paths, which is relevant information if you want to know where homebrew binaries are going to be located, right? But also stuff about Valet and the PHP environment. So these are all initialized here. And they are initialized in sequence in the initializer of app delegate. So when app delegate is initialized, all of these singletons are also initialized. And some of them have a reason to exist, and some of them are a bit of a mess. So you'll notice that PHP environment is a implicit, unwrapped optional. What that means is that whenever we reference PHP environment, because of this exclamation point, we're going to assume that it exists. But during initialization, until a certain point, it will not exist. The reason for being is very simple. At some point, we're going to call initialize switcher, which will then initialize the singleton, right? Now, we call this initialize switcher code during the startup procedure. So all of the singletons are set. You go through the launch or the startup sequence, and then this singleton is set. Now, this singleton contains information about the active PHP installation. And there's a bunch of this stuff in here as well that is not ideal. So currently, PHP env, if we just type this out, is referenced in 97 places. And this is linked to the PHP environment on my system. So the one that is running this recording session, the one that I did the development work on, the one that is running the app. There is currently no way for me to pretend like I am using some other PHP environment, right? If I want to test any of the features related to PHP handling, I have to do it physically on the system and change the config files or the homebrew services or whatever. Anything that happens, I gotta implement. And I gotta test it locally in my live environment, which is not ideal. If you've written your code in a way where you inject your dependencies in a reasonable sense, in a reasonable way, you can inject fakes. This is perfectly possible with this approach here as well. It's just that there's a bunch of assumptions that are made when this initialization happens that we need to run code that checks our current environment that is live. Ideally, this initializer gets an argument where we can say, I want a dummy version of the PHP environment, which will, make writing code significantly simpler. What also doesn't help is that the PHP env shared static property or variable here is it's like a global. I'm referencing it in the code. If you check it out, like for example, in one of the actions, we need to know what the name of the formula is so we can restart the homebrew services, right? Well, we just reference PHP env, right? Just bam, we reference it. Well, I mean, that's not good. Like this just references the shared instance. So there's no way for me to inject into the actions class like a fake environment, right? There's no way to do that. So that is the big spaghetti problem. Lots of little classes all peppered in here, all singletons. And there's like a lot of global state. Global state, which all refers to each other. And that's where the spaghetti comes in, right? There's all these little classes and they're all pointing at each other. And because we're not taking them in as references when we initialize each and every instance of the class, we now have all these globals pointing at each other, which makes it incredibly difficult to fake stuff. That's the biggest issue that we currently have. And because of that, there's a lot of tests that I cannot write without making big changes. Now, I've already made a bunch of these changes initially when I started working on a CLI spin-off of this. And then I sectioned off my code into PHPMon core, which has these singletons, which are now slightly better isolated and not calling each other all the time. And then kind of the domain-driven functionality, which is specific to, PHP monitor functionality that is not generic and more specific. But even still, I think this can architecturally be done in a much more competent way. And that is point number 1.